our responsibility as a nation and in a direct way as a government to provide opportunities for the young adults in our communities.
And that's exactly the direction being taken by the Ministry of National Security to engage at-risk youth. And going further,
the drive towards sustainable reduction in criminal violence demanded an aggressive reorganization and modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
We have updates on key areas benefiting from this targeted intervention right here on the program that informs, educates, and entertains. Jamaica Magazine. Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson.
I heard about ends through ends. A few gentlemen came by one Saturday and asked me if I would like to go on a program called Ends, and I said, what it all about? And they started to tell me, and I said, yes man, I would love to do that. And they came back in the afternoon, take all my information, and that's where it is, Ends.
How did you find the process of getting on the web platform?
Wasn't so hard because it was the same person who came by, who take all information, hooked me up just like that. So it was easy for me, but you have to have your ID, your driver's license or your passport. And if not, you have to have like a photo to give to them. And your food and glass permit. But otherwise, it was easy.
Ends, e-commerce national delivery solution.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, June 17, 2021. An additional water shop will be built in Commodore Portland to better meet the needs of residents. Local Government and Rural Development Minister Desmond McKenzie says a location has been identified and construction is to begin soon. It will be the second water shop for the Commodore community.
The water shop is not going to alleviate the problems of the community, but at least it will provide you with some consistent source of water.
Water shops are established within communities affected by inconsistent or insufficient supply, providing a convenient source for residents to collect the liquid. Minister McKenzie says $110 million has been provided in the 2021-2022 budget to build out more of these water shops across the island. He gave the update while touring local government facilities in the parish recently. Monitoring and enforcement efforts within the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park will be bolstered by the recent donation of a Ford Ranger pickup truck to the Jamaica Conservation and Development Trust, JCDT. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, recently signed an agreement and presented the JCDT with the vehicle worth $4.7 million. The JCDT supports NEPA's conservation and management activities within the mountain range, which has a high level of endemic plant and animal species and is home to critical water resources. With the motor vehicle gift, it is expected that more of the vast area, that's the Blue and John Crow Mountains National Park, will be monitored. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has commended Jamaicans in the diaspora for their sterling contribution to the country's economy and social development. Mr. Holness also lauded the 6 Jamaicans who were presented with the Governor-General's Diaspora Award for Excellence for their significant support to the fight against COVID-19.
Indeed, support from our diaspora has been a critical lifeline for our country during the pandemic.
The Prime Minister was speaking at a virtual town hall meeting put on by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs yesterday to commemorate Diaspora Day. The event is part of a 2-day Jamaica Diaspora Sustainability Symposium being held under the theme Jamaica and the Diaspora, Stronger Together for a Sustainable Future. Prime Minister Holness shared that net remittance inflows increased by 70% in March 2021 relative to March 2020 and was up 36% for the financial year ending 2021. He says this steady support from the diaspora contributed to the country maintaining its balance of payment as well as its net international reserves, which is over $3 billion.
Beyond sending remittances, the diaspora continues to promote trade and foreign direct investment, spur entrepreneurship, create new businesses, and transfer knowledge and skills.
Mr. Holness assured the diaspora that government was working to create greater synergies in the pursuit of development. Sport Minister Olivia Grange says the Institute of Sports in Sports continues to fulfill its mandate of developing sports at the grassroots level despite the COVID-19 pandemic.
Last year, it staged its popular summer sports program in small groups across the island, featuring netball, football, cricket, tennis. We added new disciplines as well, golf and surfing. InSports is also developing a virtual physical education program to be broadcast on air and online.
The minister, who was speaking in Parliament recently, also revealed that for the first time in 30 years, InSports has prepared annual reports.
The reports cover the period 2017-2018, 2018-2019, and 2019-2020. Pending an audit, I expect to table the reports in the House once it is approved by Cabinet.
InSports was established in 1978 by the government of Jamaica to promote the development of sport at the national level. Government's engineering and specialized telecommunications arm, Airtel, is set to launch an online television station called Cool TV. Transport Minister Robert Montague made the announcement in the House of Representatives recently. He says this move is to enhance government's efforts to increase the island's coverage for broadcast signals.
Airtel also is the owner of Cool FM, one of Jamaica's top 10 radio stations. As a matter of fact, we are number 6 in the country. We have increased our coverage for broadcast signal and created a digital online platform for on-air broadcast.
Minister Montague says government has also upgraded the air towers and installed CCTV to improve security at the Airtel facility. And finally, President of the Senate, Tom Tavares Finson, says government's decision to allow members of the Senate to join meetings virtually will not negatively impact the operations of the upper house. While speaking at a recent JIS think tank, Tavares Finson says the move provides an avenue for members who cannot physically attend Senate meetings at Gordon House to participate remotely.
It is said that from every crisis comes good, and that no crisis should be wasted. So this is a development that has come out of the pandemic, but it is one that the Senate will embrace, and I suspect the lower house will also do so in due course. But it was spurred on by the pandemic, but it's a development that in 2021 we should embrace and develop.
The Senate made history on June 4 when 4 senators were allowed to participate remotely in the proceedings of the sitting. The meeting was a hybrid of in-person and virtual participation. In keeping with the recent amendments to the Senate standing orders and the Constitution, the members who participated virtually were not permitted to form a part of the quorum, present a bill or motion, or vote. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Let's take a closer look at some of the measures being taken by the Ministry of National Security to ensure safety, public order, and reduction in crime.
On the plan Secure Jamaica, the government policy has been to reduce criminal violence, improve public safety, and strengthen the institutional and operational capacity of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
One of the strategies applied by the Ministry of National Security is the modernization of its security architecture across all 9 agencies.
Their programs and initiatives secure our borders, our cyber and telecommunication networks, our business, communities, and our families. The overall success of national security is contingent on the collective and coordinated effort of the entire national security architecture.
The JCF is better equipped to fight crime with irrefutable science as a result of upgrading to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine. With increased DNA and ballistics analytical capabilities and a national DNA database, the force has been making an even greater contribution to the administration of justice.
For the set of trials that were scheduled in Home Circuit Court for 2021, my friend Minister of Justice, 2021 Easter term, the Institute has already completed its work and issued the ballistic certificates for 99% of the cases ahead of receiving requests. This tells us that the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine is responding in real time to the needs of its stakeholders. Furthermore, the work of the Institute has been very crucial to the reactivation and solving of several cold cases.
The capacity of the police force will move to another level with the construction of a state-operated autopsy suite for which ground will be broken later this year.
Forensic science is a new frontier of law enforcement towards swift and sure justice.
Going hand in hand with science is the suite of cutting-edge technology that is now available to our police officers. A smart check system installed in patrol vehicles provides real-time access to various databases.
This has allowed police officers to ascertain details on drivers, vehicles on our roads, and to check on persons of interest, stolen motor vehicles, traffic ticket warrants, and outstanding traffic tickets. With this capability, officers can act quickly and decisively even while on regular patrol.
Further to this, the electronic traffic ticketing management system will come on stream in June of this year. And that's not all.
The JCF microwave network has been upgraded and expanded, more than tripling its capacity and adding about 90 new links. The microwave system is built to be resilient and ensure connectivity to internet between all police stations. The 119 Police Emergency Communication System has been upgraded to a new platform in order to handle calls from the public more reliably and efficiently. We got the use of the CCTV surveillance in conjunction with improved police communication. The mobility has contributed to increased agility, efficiency, and effectiveness of police operations.
Simultaneous with these developments are the upgrading of police stations under Project Rebuild, Overhaul and Construct, Project ROC. To date, 5 stations have been constructed and 101 renovated. In this financial year, 3 new stations will be built and another 14 renovated. Adding to the renewed working conditions is the establishment of domestic violence intervention centers at designated stations.
In the coming months, we'll have an entire cadre of police officers who are sensitized and attuned to all forms of intimate partner and family violence, and who are adequately prepared to take mitigating steps.
Operations at police stations will be further enhanced with the introduction of a suite of new automated station management systems this year. These will replace the station diary, otherwise called Big Book. To increase manpower, approximately 1,000 new recruits are targeted this year and 1,500 in 2022.
The drive towards sustainable reduction in criminal violence demanded an aggressive reorganization and modernization of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
The Ministry of National Security will be piloting several pieces of legislation that are critical in bolstering public safety and citizen security. Among the legislation being piloted are the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Amendment Bill 2021, the Firearms Licensing Act, Trafficking in Persons Act, the Corrections Act, and regulations for the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA.
Legislation creates an environment for law enforcement to be able to arrest criminals, bring perpetrators to justice, and ensure the penalties that are associated with criminal activities are commensurate with the egregious nature.
The government has engaged 3 strategies as part of efforts to reposition social investments and to rethink crime prevention programs in communities across the country. A business advisory group comprised of all permanent secretaries and heads of relevant government agencies is responsible for interministerial coordination and collaboration around social investment for community transformation.
We are conducting the necessary baseline assessments. Data is critical. Gathering the requisite empirical data that will inform the social investment program.
And this will guide a 3rd component, introducing relevant activities to a targeted population.
While it is the role of the police to save lives, sustainable reduction of criminal violence must be a whole of government, all of society approach. We must facilitate a process of behavior change among our people in order to reduce the prevailing culture of violence that underpins much of the criminal activities in our country.
I'm Empress. My sisters, my queens, my mothers, my daughters, my girls, my women. I am begging you, stay away from crime and violence. Don't risk your soul. Don't risk your life. We have a strong history of crime and violence and it's never paid. You're the backbone of the family, of the future, of our generation, of our country. Save the children. Set an example. A gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Part of the social investment to achieve behavioral change in at-risk youth is the provision of access to skills training that will lead to employment. An example of this is the truck driving simulator program by the Ministry of National Security and key government agencies.
Delighted to support the launch of the Kingston leg of the articulated mobile simulator driving course as we continue to enjoy a fruitful partnership with the Ministry of National Security, the Jamaica Defence Force, and the Caribbean Maritime University. With funding support from HART, this program is expected to engage over 700 trainees annually.
This particular investment by the Ministry of National Security involves the delivery of intervention and life skills training, driving training from zero to commercial driving operations, NCT vet levels 2 to 3, international certification through the CMU, and driving licenses to participants. This intervention is scheduled to take place over 26 weeks full-time, 35 weeks part-time, to a cohort of 30 at-risk youth from varying communities. This program delivers with 15 part-time and 15 full-time students at a cost of over $25.3 million. And we have now 2 cohorts, one in Montego Bay, and today this cohort for Kingston. And the Caribbean School of Music is projected to launch its own youth engagement initiative, and this is through music. And this will be by engaging at-risk youth in varying communities and providing NCT vet certification. And this is scheduled to be launched in September of this year. And hence, the donation of musical instruments could not have come at a more opportune time.
Music is a part of us. It defines Jamaicans. The introduction of music as a core part of a training activity is crucial. I think it will do well. Jamaicans have demonstrated globally, that they are highly creative, and it's something they also can earn good income from. In approaching the problem, we have to reassure the public that they have gone through the appropriate training, which not only gives the public, employers, confidence in taking them, but also to reassure the young men who are participating to build their self-confidence, their self-esteem, and their sense of security, that they too are important part, individuals in the whole Jamaican society. Our responsibility as a nation and in a direct way as a government to provide opportunities for the young adults in our communities, to give them a sense of dignity and self-esteem. Articulated truck driving program, equipment operation, young men like that kind of activity. Every young man in Jamaica knows truck driving, heavy duty equipment pays good money. And if they migrate, they have connections overseas, they get good jobs. And they're aware of it. They know what they want and they know what will give them what they want. And if we offer it to them, I'm confident we can overcome the violence, pervasive violence, criminal activity that pervades our inner city communities. We must make programs relevant. Some of the young men are involved. By the time they leave this training program and go back in their community, if they can get the message, they're convinced the right thing, others see it coming, the same young men out there now waiting to see what happens. And they get good jobs, others begin to look in the direction. And we provide the resources, they begin to see a reversal rather than join a gang where they know they might die young, they might end up in prison. But that's where they get respect, identity, and camaraderie. Reverse that and they can find they get respect, skills training, a sense of security. In another direction, you'll have dozens of them moving across and we begin to reverse the process of social decay and what amounts to almost social suicide as young men slaughter each other. And security will again be much better in these communities. And we look forward not only to a successful development of this program, but the continued collaboration between the agencies and other agencies that is required to ensure we have a successful investment, social investment in these challenged communities and to bring about the transformation that is required.
The numbers keep climbing, and yet some of you are still complaining about curfew times. Is that being selfish or are you being smart? You continue to blame the government, stating they are not doing enough. But the big question is, are you doing your part to help decrease the spread? The unfortunate reality is that far too many people refuse to take the coronavirus pandemic seriously until they or someone they love gets infected. Now, this is what we do not want, and I don't believe I can stress this enough. Wear your mask, sanitize. Of course, we love to hug and socialize, but just ease off some of that right now. Not just for your safety, but also for others. It look hard for your relatives to be home doing all they need to in order not to catch the virus, and you out on the road being reckless and carrying it right home to them. Each one of us needs to help during this fight against COVID-19 as we work to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business in a healthy environment.
Up next, ways to protect ourselves from COVID-19, the flu, and dengue.
Controlling the triple threat of COVID-19, influenza, and dengue is a major agenda item for the Ministry of Health and Wellness. This mission requires every one of us to always be vigilant and take preventative measures against the spread of these infectious diseases.
Knowledge is power, and our awareness of this triple threat is the first step to victory. The next step is to do what we know needs to be done and can be done to protect ourselves and the people we care about. COVID is still out there, requiring continued vigilance in our national response to the disease, including the strict adherence to infection prevention and control measures. Masking up, we must add the masks, washing the hands, keeping your physical distancing from others, and sticking to quarantine or isolation as is required.
The Health Ministry has maintained a robust testing protocol in the COVID response to track and trace the virus and slow its spread. That includes government's approval for some private entities to carry out the gold standard polymerase chain reaction PCR test for COVID-19, as well as the antigen test, which has a quicker turnaround time for results.
Combined, private sector entities are now able, for a cost or for a fee, to offer the PCR test for COVID with the sanctioning of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And so you can go to a microlabs, and they're all over the country. You can get swabbed, samples collected, sent into Carigen, and Carigen will do the tests, turn it around, and send back the results. In addition to that, the ministry has also approved Technology Solutions Limited to do environmental testing. And what this means is that this entity, Technology Solutions Limited, is able to go into your company or your home or wherever else in a public space, and they can test surfaces to determine if the virus exists on those surfaces.
Infection prevention measures for the flu caused by the influenza virus is the same as for COVID-19. They include covering the mouth and nose and coughing and sneezing in a piece of tissue, which is then properly disposed of immediately. Both COVID and the flu are highly infectious diseases requiring persons with symptoms to stay at home and avoid contact with others in order to prevent spread. Both have similar symptoms, which makes it difficult to tell which illness is present. Common symptoms of the two infections include coughing, runny or stuffy nose, and shortness of breath.
And so it's very important that as citizens, if you have any of these symptoms, you get checked out by a doctor. And it's also important that you do not panic, but at least get the diagnosis to determine which of the two or indeed the three you may have. Because depending on what you have, your treatment would vary.
They breed in containers holding water.
We're talking about the vase that you keep on the whatnot, or the bucket that you might keep in the bathroom to store water because you don't have running water to flush the toilet, or the leaking pipe under the sink that you put a pan to catch because you didn't get a chance to fix the pipe. All of those things become breeding sites for mosquitoes and ultimately poses a risk.
Citizens, meanwhile, are told to constantly monitor their environment for mosquito breeding sites and take action to prevent breeding.
Tightly cover our water drums, so secure our water storage tanks. The searching the drums and mosquito breeding sites, including our, all the things that I mentioned earlier. Once you see that little wiggly thing in the water, you know that mosquitoes breeding in it.
So, as we continue to take responsibility for our own health and the well-being of all around us, let's get informed and take action to stay safe.
Jamaica, we are in the throes of a pandemic. COVID-19 cases are on the rise. COVID-19 related deaths are climbing. COVID-19 bed capacity at our hospitals has been maxed out. Yet still, some of us continue to flout the COVID-19 containment measures. Some of us still refuse to wear masks in public places. We still gather in groups of more than 10. We still break the curfew hours. And we still attend illegal parties. Wise up! Take responsibility for your health. Safeguard the health of your loved ones. Obey the COVID-19 protocols.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Do join us again tomorrow when we'll bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm, and while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.